Class example number 5 of earnings per share, and now we're going to look at diluted earnings where we have share options. So let's first have a look at the information again. On the 31st of December 20.8, the equity of Orange Limited was as follows, and again look at it, it is at the year end. So there we had 2 million ordinary shares in issue, both years. We had reserves, and we had profit for the year of 900,000 and 800,000. As you can see there in the yellow part, that since 1 April 20.8, that is the current year, and share option existed, whereas the shareholders can take up 500 shares on 31 March 2011 at a future date at an issue price of R1 per share. But the current fair value of these ordinary shares are R1.60 per share. So you can see it will be issued at a price lower than the current market value. So what we have to do, required, is to calculate the earnings per share for the years ended 31 December 20.7 and 20.8. Well, let's have a look at the suggested solution to class example number 5. There's the final answer, but we must now decide how we got to that answer. And as we all remember, we must first start off with the basic adjusted earnings to diluted earnings. And as we also know that with share options, there's no income or expense relating to that, so there's no interest, expense or dividend that we have to adjust to get to our basic earnings. So therefore, we've got the basic earnings. There's no adjustment to get to the dilution, so therefore our diluted earnings per share is the same as basic earnings, 900,000 for 20.8 and 800,000 for 20.7. The next step will then be to calculate the diluted weighted average number of ordinary shares issued for this period. We will start off with a weighted average number of shares according to the basic earnings, which is the 2 million and 2 million. There's nothing else and no adjustments there. And then the adjustment due to the options is the 140,625. But we'll have to go and look at how it was calculated and why we calculated that. Let's understand how options work. When an option is available or issued, then the holder of that option, as the word says, has an option to purchase shares at a certain value at a future date. Now, because it's at this certain value, it could have a diluted effect when these shares are eventually purchased. So what we are trying to do is we are not trying to calculate how many shares are issued at value. We are trying to calculate how many shares do you get for free from this share issue. So therefore, we're going to say, how much did I receive? What was the total? What will the total amount be that will be received once these options are exercised? So 500,000, as you can see there, times the R1, which is the issue price, will give us 500,000 Rand. Now we divide that by the average price of R1.60 for the fair value, and that will give us 312,500 shares issued for value. So we're not interested in this amount. As we say there, we're going to ignore this for the calculation of diluted earnings per share. But we need this to do our calculation, because how does it work? If you issue 312,500 shares for value, you are happy with that because you are getting the value that the company is worth. But how many shares did you get for free? To be able to determine that, we say 500,000 shares were issued, but then the 312,500 shares were issued for value. So the difference is the 187,500 shares that were issued for no value, and they are the ones that's going to cause the dilution in future. And that will be the amount that will be included in the diluted earnings per share. However, because this is options and the exception, we also have to weight it for the potential shares to be included at the date of issue. So in this specific year, the options were issued on 1 April, so it was in issue for 9 months of the year, and therefore that last paragraph there, it should be weighted at 187,500 times 9/12, and that gives us the final answer of 140,625, which we will then be adjusted against the WANOS, the basic WANOS, to give us the diluted WANOS at that stage. Now you can go and do your calculations of your basic and diluted earnings at options.